So, I'm sorry, I don't have the Rona, I promise. I'm like a minute, so at a minute into the one, I texted my best friend, the one who like last time was like, oh my god, like, you know, once again, you and Taylor are on the same wavelengths. And I am just basically like, holy shit, I'm about to cry, watch this. Like, you know exactly what this video means to me, I think, and where it's going. And then I got 10 more seconds in and had to pause because I'm like, I'm literally bawling my eyes out. And it's a song. I'm only a minute in and I already know, like, so the lyric that really got me was like something about the roaring 20s throwing pennies in the pool. And then like, if my wishes came true, it would have been you. And the whole song too is about like how she's doing amazing, how he's doing all right. But I think everybody that really actually knows me, or has known me for a really, really, really long time knows that I, had this really, really significant love of my life in high school, like a young love. But it was one of those loves that, like, you know, everybody says you'll get over right away. But it literally took me, I mean, like, I'd say 10 years or more to get past that. And it's somebody that, like, I literally have loved my entire life. Literally, so this is somebody that I grew up with. We were kids. He lived in the same neighborhood. Basically, literally, I have a scar above my eye, like right there. I had cut my glasses open in kindergarten, as I was zigzagging on my bike in the sand. In the road, following this guy's little brother and his mom, just because, again, I was obsessed with this family because I was obsessed with him. She saw me, took me home, that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, literally, I have loved this person ever since I remember being a conscious human being. And long story short, it ended up being this, like, perfect little fairy tale, kind of. Like, I almost feel like now I manifested it perfectly. Once I was, of course, he was 2 years older than me, which, you know, at 5 up until really forever, until high school was a big deal. But when my freshman year, the summer before my freshman year of high school, and my mom used to always say, like, oh, this boy, like, you know, he doesn't like you now, Ashley, like, you're too young, but wait till you're in high school, like, you know, he'll want you. And so my very first job at Chick-fil-A, please don't hate on me for that, but at 14, right before summer before freshman year, I walked in, and of course the very person working there was him, and it basically was a perfect romance, at least for the first 2 years. It was everything I ever dreamed, but then things kind of went south, and that in itself, like, is a whole long story. It's kind of messed up in itself that I've realized over the years. It involves definitely a very Me Too movement, as well as though me just being dumb and drunk to put myself in a position to basically jeopardize the most important relationship and the most important person at that point that I ever knew. We broke up, and I mean, literally, I came up with this 7-year plan because the first movie we ever saw, the characters got back together after 7 years, and I think the second one too, and then with Friends, I think it took Ross and Rachel 7 years, and then I'm pretty sure with Serendipity, it was 7 years. I just came up with this 7-year plan. And like, I think, and I mean, I didn't talk to him much after that, but then after that 7-year plan, like 7 years, like we magically like kind of reconnected. Like it was literally as if I manifested it. And sometimes I think now maybe I did. And things were going everything that I ever hoped for. Like he seemed like he was back into me. But I had also just ended a relationship with somebody I should have never been with anyways. And then my dad died. And I remember, actually, it's weird because after me and this person broke up in high school, and I mean, I was in a deep, 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 dark depression. I became a huge binge drinker. Like, I mean, hardcore, like, just a flask alone at the beach, just drowning my sorrows. Again, I lost myself because this person, I thought, like, he was my happiness, he was my everything. And I remember he used to tell me when I'd cry and cry and cry and beg him back, like, Ashley, you need to know that you make your own happiness, that happiness is a choice. And it literally took me really until maybe last year or the year before to truly, truly learn that. But so it was really hard. But so when we like we reconnected, it was, or I guess back in those times after we broke up, I even remember thinking, like, does this person care? Like, if, you know, my mom died or something, would he be there for me? So anyways, he's back in my life. And then my dad died. And literally out of every single person in my life, he was the only person who called me. The only one. Everybody else just called and texted, but he called and left a voicemail. And I mean, he was so supportive. But again, then I wanted to go back up there. He lives in Chicago, to go see him. But we ended up not, because he just basically straight out said, like, look, Ashley, I don't think you're in the emotional place to really start this up. And he's right. I wasn't. Especially with how significant he was to me. And my last conversation with my dad, he even asked about this person. And I wasn't in the right place. And this person's one of the most emotionally intelligent people, kind of now looking back, that I've ever known. And so anyways, shortly after that, I met my husband, Corey. And it's ironic because actually, too, he had grown up kind of in the same, like, friends and knew Connor. It's all really weird because Corey and I did not know each other, even though we went to high school with each other. And then I think Connor, so the individual, he ended up meeting, I think, his fiance, or his wife, right around the same time I started dating Corey. And it was funny because right before my dad died, I was thinking about getting a 3-legged dog. And I remember then Connor was like, I don't think you should. And then everybody knows how that turned out. I got a Hampton, who's the best dog in the entire world. And now I'm a dog hoarder. That's Gus. He wants me to keep throwing bones. That in itself is another whole crazy story. But again, now I'm a dog hoarder, have 6 dogs. But it's years later, and me and this person, we've gotten to the point now where, like, I no longer hold him on this pedestal that I used to, and I realized he was right, and it's a good thing I didn't end up with him, because he's an amazing person, but I would have lost myself. He would have always defined my happiness, and I would have never defined who I was. And I think, honestly, I would have just done anything for this person, and again, it would have been unhealthy. And now I'm with a perfect person for me, and I'm with a person who understands me and gets me and hoards dogs with me. And it's a beautiful thing, and I think this person's also with somebody that's perfect for him, and he has 2 amazing, beautiful children. But it's to a point now where, like, hey, I can text him and be like, what the hell's going on in Chicago? Like, is it really crazy enough for all of these federal agents to swarm the city? So it's kind of nice because, while I don't think it's anything where we'll ever be best friends, nor necessarily do I think that should be the case, it's cool because, like, it just shows how much you've grown up, and really, like, and that's why this song, like, really made me cry, because when you have that kind of deep, like, you know, I think most of us don't marry our high school sweethearts. Like, you know, so you have your first love, and then however many loves you have before you have your last love. But if that first love is a really true deep love, like, it can change you, and it's hard to get past that. And a lot of people, I think, let that consume them and maybe never ever fully get past that. But I've learned in all of this, for one, I think that love was never, again, it was supposed to change me. It was supposed to consume me. It was almost, in a way, its own, like, little soulmate thing. But it was meant to teach me the greatest lessons I need to know. Like, for instance, you know, that I make my own happiness, which I've learned is the most important lesson anybody can learn in this life. And I think that's kind of what he was meant to tell me and teach me. And it does. I don't know, it's freeing and it's cool. But when you can get to the point of no longer putting that person on a pedestal and no longer being afraid to reach out, and I don't know, it's cool. And you realize that, like, every relationship, like, we have all these loves in our life, and unlimited love is great. You only obviously end up with one forever, like, as your significant other, or at least that's the hope. But, like, that doesn't mean that you can't have all these positive, like, vibes and relationships in your life, because I think what we're here for is to make positive soul connections. And again, love is the highest vibration there is. So the more love that's out there, the more unconditional love that's out there, the better. And it's also cool because actually, so that dog, guys, is Corey, the dog that Corey had with his ex-girlfriend, that kind of started a huge love triangle a long time ago with me, Corey, and her. And it was kind of crazy. Some tires might have gotten slashed. Just lots of crazy stuff happened. But now, again, she has a beautiful family, a great husband, and she has a perfect daughter, and she's with somebody that's so much better to her than Corey ever was. No offense to Corey. He had a lot of growing up to do, and she deserves better. he's great now, and I'm thankful for him. But again, she deserved better, and I think she knew that at the time. But anyways, now they have a child, and he snapped at the child. She needed somebody to rehome the dog, and so now we have her dog. And me and her are friends. She'll text up Corey, same thing, like, if you think of somebody. Because to me, that's where you know somebody still has a hold on you. If you think of them, now obviously if you're thinking about them all the time, that's obviously in itself its own indication that there's some shit to still work through. But as far as like if you're really truly over somebody, I think as long as you didn't end on bad terms, if something comes up that makes you just randomly think of that person, whether it's, again, like, you know, the city that they live in, or like just, you know, their favorite like movie, or again, everybody thinks of Taylor Swift hopefully when they think of me, that kind of thing. Like, if you think of somebody and you want to reach out but you don't because you're afraid, that's where you know you're not free. But where you can just have those little tidbits of conversation, that's where you know you're free. And Corey's having that even with his ex-girlfriend, and she's actually become like one of my like best supporters, and I actually think that her and I could end up being like lifelong friends, which is weird in itself. So the point is I'm only 1 minute and 10 seconds into the one music video, but it obviously inspired like 11 minutes of thought, because this is honestly like, I mean, it's something I think about a lot. I actually even talk to my husband about it a lot, which is also awesome. And what I love about our relationship is that I can talk to him about these things without him being insecure, because he knows my heart. He knows how much I love him, but he also knows that I'm always just striving to like grow and to learn. And like, I live in my head. Like, I'm always having conversations in my head. I'm always thinking. And also I'm in the process of writing a book, as well as planning out some novels. And working through a lot of that stuff is important for the books, and so it's just stuff that's on my mind. And once again, it's like, I just feel like Taylor's clearly at that place too now, and I've recently gotten there, I'd say in the last like year. So it's just, again, and same with my husband, he just got there within the last year with his ex-girlfriend. And again, it's a beautiful thing. It shows that you've grown, and I can't wait to just bawl my eyes out listening to more of it. And again, sorry, I know none of you cares about this, but you know, whatever. Thanks if you did listen to it. And that's all for now.